Do the Fingering. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And look on my works, ye mighty and despair. My name is Shahir Dowd.
And this is the only podcast about movies, specifically the film Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant.
I went lowbrow, you went highbrow with the quotes. I appreciate that. That was very nice.
Was it highbrow? I think Breaking Bad actually had an episode called Ozymandias with it.
That's higher brow than saying I'll do the fingering. There's a low bar and you surpassed it. But let's not talk about that
I know,
anymore.
because it's really awkward right now because we're talking about fingering with two people in the room.
We
next
just
to us.
met them.
We just met. Sorry about that, guys.
Thanks, Ridley Scott.
Really how this works out every time. But I have two special guests that I've been really excited to have on the show for a while. Francesca and Patrick from Last Name Basis. Hey, welcome to the show. This is a podcast I've been listening to for a while now.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
And then because the other thing is you guys don't tend to do movie reviews, obviously because we're the only movie podcast review show.
The only one.
The only one.
So
we did the research in our own lab.
But so when you guys did an episode about the movie Get Out, obviously we found out about it and we were like, who are these people? And we have to.
There's one
Get
more.
off my lawn.
Yeah. How dare you?
How dare someone else talk about a movie? You get out.
But let me explain. A married couple, both one's Francesca, you work in entertainment. You work at Comedy Central, MTV. We kind of have some mutual friends, I think,
cool.
mainly in Jordan Carlos, who Joe used to be on the Nightly Show with.
Yeah.
I knew him from the Guy Code days.
Guy Code days.
He talked about what Star Wars episode did he talk about?
I think it was.
Oh, it's Empire. Empire Strikes Back.
It was
Yep.
like he only wanted to come on.
Yeah,
to do
that was the only of the six he'd do.
And we've got to get him back at some point. And you also have a fantastic show on MTV called Decoded.
Yes.
Which I'm a big fan of. You guys just did an
you.
episode about green cards, which related to my life very, very closely. So I was very happy
well,
about
now
that.
I know a little bit more about the struggle. So
Yeah, so
I feel for you.
I've made a film about the struggles. I can tell you all about it. And then Patrick, this is the one thing. I've listened to a few episodes now, and it's always like Patrick is a lawyer.
Right.
I don't know what kind of lawyer.
We keep that hush hush.
entirely separated.
Right. The kind that works very closely with the mob.
Oh, really?
No,
mob lawyer.
I do medical malpractice. It's all above board.
I really need a conciliary right
I was
now.
getting excited. I
It's
was like,
just not good podcast material. I got to be honest.
I don't know. I think the healthcare debate is out right now.
Sure.
Medical malpractice could be a hot topic.
Patrick can tell you lots of really gross things about times where people were like, I went in with an earache and they cut off my leg.
Wow.
And I'm
is
always
true.
like, baby, I don't want to hear this story. This is terrible. I'm eating.
I really want to hear that story. I gotta be honest with you.
After this, I will tell you all
right.
the good stories.
I feel like we're gonna get some earwig stories in this podcast episode.
what's an earwig story?
Well, I'm putting the cart before the horse about something.
I don't
that
know what
happens
you're
in the
talking
movie.
about.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you're talking about.
About the dust stuff that gets in their ear.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. I get it. I'm on board, everybody.
Okay, a little slow in the uptake.
Hey, listen, I've had a long day.
But also, we kind of gave you a choice. Obviously, we love to have guests on. We were very excited to have you on, and we said, you could pick a movie, any movie you wanted to. You could pick a classic if you wanted to, something that you were really super excited to talk about. You guys picked Alien Covenant, which perfectly aligns with new releases that were coming out. So we're happy about that. But I'm curious to know how that decision making process went down. I'm married. This is my work husband over here.
Yep.
What is movie night like at Francesca and Patrick's house?
Well, this was a good compromise for us because I do like Aliens, the Alien franchise, but
Right.
also Patrick loves this sort of stuff.
You're a horror
Oh
fan?
no, I'm sci-fi and horror, and specifically horror. I mean, I will watch all the crap.
He
that
watches the
nobody knows
worst,
about.
like
Alien
worst
versus
you have
Predator?
to.
I mean, that included.
Yeah.
Anything with aliens or predators in it, I'm gonna watch it.
Killer
Didn't
Clowns
you-
from Outer Space.
Didn't you cry
I've seen it,
during
yes.
Alien versus Predator? I totally.
No,
Wait a minute.
I swear
No.
to God.
No. That was the last Rambo
The
that I
last
cried. He comes home and you're just like,
The credit sequence goes with him
Touching.
walking back to his house.
it's just it pulls at your heartstrings.
But what kind of movies do so say it's movie night. It's you got to go on Netflix. What do you guys like? You're obviously into sci-fi, Francesca. I'm not so sure.
I would say I love a good thriller. I like suspense. I mean, I like comedies too, but I feel like Pat and I can never agree on what we think looks good.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not easy.
Like, it's not easy.
It's not easy. I'm always pushing for horror because she also squeals. Like, I mean,
Oh my
she
God,
just
I like
jumps
the
and
biggest-
squeals
oh my God.
and cries, and it's just so entertaining.
I have like serious sympathy pain. So like if somebody's getting stabbed, I'm like,
feel
I'm
it.
being stabbed, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah. That's okay, cool. So I get so we're the horror is kind of the perfect blend of what you guys are into.
Absolutely.
And you're into the Aliens movies.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I watched them as a kid. I
Yeah.
watched them, and so I haven't watched the one that preceded this one.
Prometheus?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
it didn't
felt
miss much.
Yeah, I felt like it was one of those things where like if I hadn't seen it, I'd be fine. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like you guys are on a ship, some aliens are going to be there, and it's going to be scary. So
Yeah, and it's funny because even when Prometheus was sort of in its heyday in the theater, they didn't. They were trying not to, but like still riding the coattail. Like Ridley Scott was like just
Returning back to the franchise
but-
he started.
But he was like, it's not a prequel to Alien.
but it's completely a
But it's a
prequel.
complete
is.
prequel to Alien.
Wait, was that before it became a series of prequels to Aliens? Is
I
that
don't
what it
know.
was? Is that what the thing was?
I think it was always intended to be a series of prequels to Aliens, but
Yeah, but he kept being very adamant about it not being one, and then
Really?
until you see it, and then even at the end, there's a bit of a like a proto xenomorph type thing, and you're like, okay, yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's no question now, even though the whole movie was pointing towards that.
So
Yeah.
yes, we're going to get into Alien Covenant. If you have listener requests that you'd like to give to us, you can reach us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on on Twitter at onlymoviepod, or leave us some iTunes reviews. Those are always nice.
They
We're
have
like-
been going well.
Yeah,
we have been enjoying stars. We'd
been-
like more of them. That's where you come in.
and
you are
could
such
also-
good podcasters. We never tell people. to leave us.
We forget every
We
single week.
always forget.
I will say this: what I love about your podcast is your sections that you have and your bumpers, and how Francesca. It's just a lot. It's like you like either singing or like sing-songing to a beat, or like just some like little tune.
Yeah, that's a
I also-
collaboration for us.
I love how like your podcast starts as though like you guys are just mid conversation
Yes,
all the time. Like
yes.
There's not
because we are mid-conversation.
we always
just-
are.
I feel like your
hit
conversations last like 4 hours, and you just recorded 1 hour.
And there was one, I think it was in a recent one you did, where it was like you must have recorded it at an earlier date, and then
Yes.
you did like a doo-doo-doo, and then it
yeah,
was like, and you did this thing, and it was like a running gag throughout, and then the last one was like a minute and a half long of you just, it was so good.
Oh, I give Patrick the credit. I don't like to compliment my husband very much because it
understand
goes to his head.
Right.
But you know, I've got a lawyerly husband who actually edits and is super creative, and he comes up with all of these little running bits and gags.
That's
and
right. I make the inserts
Okay,
in this
okay.
relationship.
You do all the inserting.
oh wow!
Well, I guess I don't feel so bad about the fingering line. at the
right,
beginning.
there you go.
Totally fine.
Touch right back
We've
in.
pretty
Okay.
much crossed the threshold.
Yes,
now.
we're good. One thing, real quick, I want to congratulate you on the pilot.
Oh, thank you.
But more so, I want to congratulate both of you because it's a bigger deal on your meatball victory.
Yes.
Oh my God! Thank you. That was huge.
Meatball
That was a
ball.
game changer for both of us.
Well, you both sounded so happy.
Like, who cares about getting a fucking TV show?
Nope.
It's
No,
all
about
about
meat.
winning a meatball party with nut-themed meatballs.
yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, we made. Well,
Okay, so I'm playing catch up here. I don't.
You can catch
All
that
right,
one.
Patrick, you can. I won't take. I won't steal
Okay.
your shine.
So briefly, we made tea infused meatballs.
Okay.
Tied them together with a string so that you had to hold them up like man
swing
balls,
them.
Did you dunk it in cheese?
and we called them tea bags.
You just swing them into your mouth. Our friend has an annual party where everybody has to make meatballs, and then everyone votes on who has the best balls. And it's really just an excuse to say balls,
Balls, of
over
course,
and
yeah.
over
course.
And
again.
teabagging is
Naturally.
part of the
Right,
equation.
and
now.
then you get to say things like, "Have you tasted my husband's balls?" And then like, make sure you put my husband's balls in your mouth. Like,
Right.
you know, these are so
But in a very,
salty.
appropriate party setting. way.
Absolutely, like adults.
It was
you know?
comparable to the 4D movie experience that we were talking about before we started recording.
Oh no! Listeners, don't go. Just don't go to the 4D.
I'm glad you guys broke the threshold of like what's appropriately rude on this episode, because I think we will get there.
Well, fun fact: you're normally the rude
I'm
one.
normally the rudest. I'm being a little restrained today.
He's the higher brow fellow on the podcast. Yet he.
Oh, we are not.
Well, then thank you for coming to my corner. Although you have that's your corner. You have corners.
Gotta make a little corner.
I know
for that.
it'll be here. Vulgarity corner.
the vulgarity corner.
I like it.
All right.
I besmirch you to the vulgarity corner.
No,
I,
well, I mean, I already lived. Well,
that's true.
I have a summer house there where I live.
I was born and raised in that there corner.
All right.
Matt,
What?
tell us.
Oh.
what Okay. Okay.
I have it right here.
This
if that's
is
what
kind
you're
of
asking.
the sequel to Prometheus.
Yep.
But unofficially I would say the 8th or 9th movie in the Alien franchise, if you include the Alien versus
Damn,
Predator.
it's that many?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's been going a while.
Wow, I feel so behind.
But you guys have seen Alien and Aliens.
But I didn't know there
all
was
of
that
them.
many.
Well,
Oh,
there's
the
four
four originals.
Four originals, and then it was Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
and then Alien versus Predator 2.
Do you count Predator as part of the Alien?
No, because
universe?
they didn't plan that.
I don't.
shit.
I don't think so. I wouldn't
think
count
that just
Alien versus Predator. I also wouldn't count Alien Resurrection.
Really?
I know it's a messed up thing to say, but I was just like, this movie is just not what I was hoping
So
for.
I have not seen Alien Resurrection, the fourth one, in a very long time. However, my boy Joss Whedon was sort of the creative force behind that, which is weird. This is before.
Whoops.
I know, right? Yeah, no, I know.
I like that you still claim him as your boy.
boy.
He's my boy. Well,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I was
well,
like-
he's actually. There's a little bit of. Well, I'll have to get into that movie news after the fact. But that movie I remember liking when I was a kid, I guess, or younger. I don't know. But I'm
I still-
terrified to watch it again because I feel as though
keep it in the
It's-
past.
Yeah.
It's not good, but it is beautiful to look at. Jean-Pierre Jeunet is the director.
Okay.
He did Delicatessen, Amelie.
Oh yeah.
So, it's a very beautiful
So is there
looking.
cool like stop motion scenes with like
You know what? You know what's really
Faces opening up.
Amelie meets Alien?
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit.
There's a couple of the same. I think Ron Perlman's in it.
Ron
as well.
Perlman is in it.
And there's a really cool underwater alien sequence
Yes.
where they're trying to get away from the alien, and the alien can swim
Just
for some
yeah.
reason.
swimming.
Yeah,
You know what it felt like? It felt like Gremlins 2.
the new
You
batch.
know, where it was like, now we've got all these new gremlins, and they're all coming at you.
Lady Gremlin.
Right. One of them had the big lips. One of the aliens had big lips and was just trying to
That's
get
right.
laid.
Well,
and-
lipsticks. Yeah, I remember that.
I liked that one.
The city's so nice they named it twice. I just remember the Brady gremlin.
Right.
And he sang New York, New York. Oh, now I want to watch Gremlins too, guys.
I think we should do
Gremlins
it.
are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that. But
Cheers, like, shut the fuck up.
we're
about
not doing
Gremlins.
that. We're not doing that.
New
We're not-
topic,
Yeah.
Gremlins.
Yeah.
All right. Who watched Prometheus in this room?
I did.
You saw Prometheus?
Oh, definitely.
I don't think I watched it, but the more that we talked about it, I could kind of see vague flashes of it.
Did you see Charlize Theron running in a straight line, being chased by a rolling thing of death that she could have avoided if she just went left or right?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
That was
I would have remembered that.
great summation of that scene.
It's a great summation of that entire movie. I just
Yeah.
rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, and oof, it does not hold up. That
It's scientists
beautiful.
doing dumb stuff.
It's beautiful to look
Yeah.
at.
Oh,
it's gorgeous to look at, but it is dumber than I remember. And I thought it was pretty dumb at the time as well. So now we've got the next chapter in the Alien franchise, and this is Ridley Scott again. Of course, Ridley Scott was the director of the original Alien film. Alien was a sort of a cheapy horror movie that seemed to be elevated by Ridley Scott's art direction style
And Geiger.
and the work of H.R. Geiger. Is it Geiger or Giger?
I think it's probably Giger because everything I say wrong the first time. So let's
Yeah.
go with your pronunciation.
I don't know. So Alien was this kind of beautiful, ostensibly a horror sort of like who gets killed kind of movie, but in space. And of course that film was entirely usurped and elevated as a franchise by James Cameron in the sequel Aliens, which is kind of a masterwork. So we've then seen Alien 3 directed by David Fincher, Alien Resurrection directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, and then there's been a host of Alien versus Predator kind of spin-offs.
A couple of real garbage video games and then one good one.
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
Ridley Scott returns back to reclaim the throne.
To the well. He goes back to the well.
Reclaim the throne that he started. Were you excited about this movie at all?
No.
No. Just because of Prometheus?
Because of Prometheus, but more so because of the trailer. Now, Shahir doesn't watch trailers.
Oh, I didn't watch the trailer either.
Yeah. Good for you.
The trailer just made it seem very paint by numbers and very nonsense. And it, for all the articles I was reading about how they're like, oh, they're going to use a lot of practical effects and like try to make the alien feel more present and like real in the space and blah, blah, blah. And then
Yeah, that
there's,
didn't happen.
I know.
Oh,
And-
wait,
and-
God,
What?
I I'm gonna be the person that's like, I liked them.
I like them.
I thought they were. But to be fair, I also had like my eyes covered. For, like,
that's fair.
Significant.
No,
That might be the best way to
And that's
watch
not
it.
to say I didn't like the design work of how they looked sort of as CGI characters and whatnot in the film, but there was a scene in the trailer that just made me be like, they're making it into like Aliens is a great action movie, but it's not a great like it builds a lot of suspense and then does sort of action moments around it. This just felt like all sort of actiony nonsense in the beginning. There's a scene, we've all seen it now, but it's in the trailer, where the alien's clinging to a ship and it's bashing its face into the glass,
Yeah.
and then it's like drooling and it screams, and I'm like, I think it's because there's so much action going on, and the frame of the xenomorph is sort of like you can just entirely tell what it looks like. I'm like, you're not scary.
Yeah.
Right.
And that just poisoned it a little bit for me. So I was like, okay. So I went into this.
So you wanted that horror element.
I
more.
wanted it
You
to
wanted
be-
you wanted the monster in the shadows.
Yep.
Where is it? It's coming out of the ventilation shaft.
psychological.
Yeah, because I feel like the inside of my brain is scarier than what I can put on the movie.
It is. It is. Trust me.
Yeah, but so I don't know. I just wasn't psyched for it, but I wasn't like dreading it by any means of the imagination.
Would you guys have seen it if we hadn't asked you to?
Yes,
I think we would
absolutely.
have. Yeah, I think we would have.
I don't think we would have gone out, rushed right out on
Yeah.
opening weekend and seen it.
Yeah.
But I absolutely would have seen it.
So
Even
you were
if it was-
excited for it?
Even if it was just me and it showed up in iTunes, I would click on it. I'd rent it immediately.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's one. It's one that I would actually watch that is in that horror style because generally speaking, Patrick loves terrible horror movies, and I felt like this is a higher bar. Like even if it's not a good movie, it's better than most of the shit that he watches.
Hey, to be fair, they only make shitty horror movies.
I know,
It's
and you
not-
watch all of them.
There are a couple. There's like one a year that's good.
What's your? I'm kind of because we mentioned your penchant for garbage horror films, which I love. What's like a go-to? What's one that you can go back to going back, or like even a couple that you've seen maybe over the last few years? Like, are we talking like Evil Dead type, or are we talking like?
Kill a clown.
No. I don't like the slashers. I
Or
like
Troll.
the supernatural stuff.
Okay.
You know, and I like anything that's really.
but these are like straight to iTunes. Like
Right.
these are ones that never get.
These
you
are
have
really
to
big.
dig
buried,
to get
yeah.
the gold.
like
Fran.
they're like really low budget. They're
All right.
you
All
know,
right.
like young teens go to a cabin in the woods type of thing. Like
yeah,
you just
and
know
unfortunately, that's like 90%.
it's like all of them, right? Exactly. And then there's like they're naked. They're like, oh no, like unelved.
That's not actually. That's
Yes,
not
it is.
recurrent a theme as you say.
Yes, always.
We all saw Hostel. We know what's up. You know, like,
there is a go-to, at least for 80s and 90s bad horror movies especially. That was the 100%.
I'm so scared, but my tits
That's
just
true.
gotta fall out while
Yeah.
like a scary thing's chasing me. It's like, girl, put a bra on. Like
it'll be easy to run away if you were like
exactly.
if you're not wearing heels, if your hair's not done.
You should have expected. You should have planned for this. Where
Yeah.
are the Pumas?
Yeah. just get a good New Balance and call it a day. So like what I was just like you said Supernatural. Like we talking like Annabelle, or what's the other
See, they're
Ouija?
all bad. That's the thing. They
Yeah.
all end up being bad. None of them meet my
we did
standards.
Ouija.
We did Ouija.
2, which was
Yeah.
not bad. Wasn't
the
terrible.
Ouijaning or whatever the subtitle
Yeah.
of that movie was.
The Ouija.
Yeah, I saw it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It
But
was
I-
really not a great movie.
I had fun with it. It was fun.
But every once in a while, something like the original Ring was pretty decent.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
It
The
was
Japanese or the American remake?
Ringu.
actually the American remake. I thought
Yeah.
was pretty good. That was my first introduction to the Ring. I thought it was pretty well done. The suspense was good. I mean, it was miles above the horror movies that were coming out at the time.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
that way.
true.
That's really it's all relative in horror.
Yeah.
You don't get good, you get better.
But horror,
That's it.
horror is like one of those genres that's like it's a really good testing ground for a filmmaker because the goal in a horror film is so simple compared to almost any other genre. Like, can you scare me? Can you scare someone?
I don't need to
convincingly?
know anything about the characters. And honestly, when I watch a horror movie, if they do too much of that, I'm just like, ugh, like get to the part where like the scary thing happens.
It's
We
the Achilles
know-
heel of every one of them
we
because they're
know-
working with these like budding actors.
Yeah.
They're terrible, and you're like, okay, so now we have to watch you pretend to like each other. This is not good.
My favorite is when
Get to the ghost.
when a film comes out like maybe like 3 years after it's been made because like maybe they lost funding, but like it
Oh,
turns out that there was an
yeah.
actor in it that
It's
blew
gonna-
up
that's
after the
somebody now.
fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. And then you just get to watch them in hot garbage.
Okay, so we kind of established a little bit about what you think of horror films. What do you guys? Because I and this may just be the way I'm going to talk about this movie.
Uh-oh.
How do you guys feel about Ridley Scott as a filmmaker?
I know Aliens.
That's it.
That I think so. I
mean,
really.
the thing is-
Tell us some other stuff that he's done.
he did-
because maybe I can't.
Blade Runner,
Blade Runner.
The Martian,
Okay.
American Gangster, which was fine.
I didn't watch that.
Body of Lies, Gladiator.
Gladiator.
Oh,
Everyone knows
right.
Gladiator. Thelma and Louise.
Really?
Yeah. Black
Oh my
Hawk
God,
Down.
That's so
That
funny.
Yeah.
is-
That's
Oh, and the 1984 Apple Mac commercial.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if you've seen that thing. It looks like a
Yes.
dystopian nonsense,
Yeah,
and the
that was
woman
like a
runs up with
really-
like a sledgehammer.
yeah, that was a really
It's
big deal.
interesting that you guys kind of, like Ridley Scott is one of those guys that you don't actually think about. Now, Ridley Scott has been around for a while. He has made a lot of movies and made a lot of money, and his films have won Oscars. So he's in that pantheon of the bearded white guy directors. Sorry, I know, Patrick, you have a beard.
I am a bearded white guy, but that just gives me hope.
Yeah, you can make it too.
I can get there someday.
But the bearded the bearded white guy pantheon, which is like Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson, George Lucas, Ridley Scott. I'm trying to think who else is in the bearded white. To be a successful Hollywood filmmaker, you got to be a bearded white guy, and Ridley Scott is one of these guys. But he's not as kind of.
He's not a household name.
He's not
for
a household name like Steven Spielberg is. And I have this weird thing because he is, like as far as in the filmmaking circles and communities go, he's very well revered. He's one of these guys, like he's always going to get money to make his movies. He's not going to struggle to make anything. His movies are big. There's action, special effects, spectaculars. But what I did was I went back and looked through all of his movies, and I kind of did like a sort of just a general survey of what I think of his movies. And the problem is his movies are defined by his two, it was the second and third movie he made were Alien and Blade Runner, which are movies that everyone knows, everyone thinks about.
Blade Runner 2049 is coming out now.
Yeah, it's in the pantheon. And then, of course, there's Gladiator, and then some, and The Martian last year was a kind of a big deal as well. But I kind of went through and I started looking and I was like, you know what? For me, Ridley Scott is one of these filmmakers that is very well revered, but he's a filmmaker I think is more missed than hit if you actually go back through the body of work.
Yeah, just off of those titles alone. Like I thought The Martian sucked.
Really?
Oh, wow.
The Martian was a bad premise to begin with.
Whoa!
Oh, man, I like this.
Oh my God, this podcast
make-
is turned.
I like this a lot.
Who would make a movie about one guy by himself the entire movie?
Fuck
It
Matt Damon.
Wait a
and,
minute.
and I like Matt Damon, but I don't love Matt Damon that much.
Wow.
But Patrick, he's going to science the shit out of this.
No.
He's going to
And
do
he's
it.
like by himself, like talking to himself and shit. Like, just come on. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I felt like it was pretty pretentious. I didn't see it.
Oh!
No,
All right.
I watched it on a plane.
I saw half of it on a plane as well, actually.
Okay.
But I just was.
Wait, were we on the same flight? Were we going
Were
somewhere?
you guys like cross-watching?
I don't know. When I'm around Patrick, I'm just like tunnel vision. I'm like, who the fuck?
When you're on a plane, everybody's tunnel vision. You got the tiny screen 6 inches from your face.
Do you do this thing on the plane where you're watching everybody else's movie? Like the
Yes.
second you get bored of yours,
yeah.
you're watching everybody else's.
When I go to the bathroom, I'm like, what are they watching? I
Exactly.
should be watching that.
You've got screen envy. You're just like looking around, making sure you're not missing something.
Or if someone's watching the same thing as you, you get annoyed because they're like 5 minutes ahead of you, so you know exactly what's going to happen in your
yes,
movie.
because you can't help but keep looking over at their screen.
This is what I'll say about The Martian for those of you who haven't seen it or have seen half of it on a plane. Look, it's not going to blow your mind. There's no question.
You're not selling me.
Oh, no. This is not going to sell you. But because this is the point. No, because at first we both went like, "Wow," and like, oh my God, I can't believe you don't like The Martian. How many times have I seen The Martian? Once. Okay, and you can enjoy a movie and watch it once or whatever, but it definitely falls into that group of it for me. Like I felt like our reaction was a little too big for what we were actually talking about. I liked it. Am I ever going to revisit it? I don't think so.
Because it was boring.
It's also
right?
such
Am I right?
Oscar bait. You know what I mean? It's such.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we're gonna make this big dramatic movie, and like Matt Damon's gonna be in space by himself, like acting with like little fucking potted plants and shit, and you're
And
gonna be
making
like
potato out of shit.
and you're gonna be like, wow, like Matt Damon's really like going through all.
It's
this
Goodwill Hunting in
emotion.
space.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, whatever. I don't have some deep feeling about Matt Damon, but I feel like it's a setup to be like, this is a movie that like it's going to be a critically acclaimed movie rather than like a movie that they felt really needed to be made.
You had me at Oscar bait because Shahir and I
Yeah,
argue
we
about
argue
that
about this
term
all the time.
all the time, and I love that you dropped it. So fuck The Martian.
Here's the thing about The Martian, and this is why. So again, I was going back through Ridley Scott's body of work, and I think most of the time, as I said, I think he's more miss than hit. I did like some basic math, and for me, like of the films I've seen, 40% of them I think are good. Which is a pretty low number for, like if you think about Steven Spielberg, I would probably put it'd be more in the 80% of films that I think are pretty great.
These days, I would put him down to like 60.
Really?
I mean,
But if you look at the overall body of work, like going back, to a start, and if you lump them all together, you would say more than not you're favorable on Steven Spielberg or Francis Ford Coppola.
For a good 10 years, sure.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason I want to bring up this quote, this movie review on The Martian, which I thought was...
This is a written review? I just want to be clear, because how else would you have gotten it?
Yeah, it's just a written review.
Okay, so this wasn't a podcast.
It wasn't a podcast, no, because there's no
don't
other
listen
thing.
to no.
If you're quoting your own podcast about The Martian, that would be.
Oh my God,
that would be spectacular.
amazing. But the reason why I actually liked The Martian in comparison to Alien Covenant was that if 2015's The Martian, based on a solid novel, addressed crisis in space by having a hero science the shit out of the problem, the writing team on this, John Logan, Dante Harper from a story by Jack Pillin and Michael Green talking about Alien, approaches each challenge as if the answer was to stupid the shit out of it. And that was from Kim Newman in Sight and Sound magazine. And that's the reason why I kind of like The Martian, because I think it's actually a good script compared to the bullshit that's being put forward in Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which is just... I gotta say,
watch Alien for the script. You feel me?
But
Like
here's-
you watch Alien
They
to
tried to
see
do a
how
lot of
cool
this,
the
though.
aliens are and like how scared you're gonna be.
but Alien and Aliens aren't dumb movies. Those are great movies that are pretty smart. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, they made a lot of dumb choices in this movie.
Yeah.
It was brutal to the point where we reviewed another film, kind of similar ilk that I really enjoyed, and it came out of kind of nowhere. Did you see the commercials for or the trailer for the film Life?
Where'd you see
it?
it?
Was
Yes. I
With
really
Jake
wanted
Gyllenhaal?
to see that.
I heard it was good.
You would like it. Like,
Really? Here's the thing. Life is like nowhere near as well reviewed or as Prometheus is.
I feel like it didn't really get
I forgot
much
all
promo.
about it,
It's
actually.
a
did.
1,000 times better.
It's scientists where things go wrong that isn't due to the fact that the scientists are just dummies. Like this stuff happens, they try to work through it, they work through a problem, and every time we kept going back in our review, and we were like, oh, were they doing something stupid here? And they were like, well, no, because this is the only option. Like it was very well written in that regard.
cool.
The creature in the movie, they did some interesting things with it. They kind of they named it sort of a human. What was the name of it? Do you remember? Charles
Calvin?
Calvin,
yeah.
They because they didn't know what to name it at first. They're like, oh, you're a daddy. Like, oh, we're gonna name it Cal. Kids on Earth named it in a competition. Like Calvin, whatever. And
That's
then
great.
eventually, the creature, why it bad stuff happens, but it's no one's fault, and the creature doesn't understand. And then it's not. There's a whole thing about they know logically that they shouldn't hate this thing, but they're talking about how much they hate it.
There's lots of levels.
Yeah,
it sounds
it's
like.
really good.
That's great, but talk about bad trailers, because I think it was
Yep.
like a
I never
flamethrower
would
and
have
Jake
known what
Gyllenhaal
that movie
screaming.
was
That
about.
was it.
Yeah.
that the trailer that I saw didn't really let on what it was about at all.
Yeah,
I mean, Life, to be fair, was kind of considered derivative of Alien.
Yes.
And, like a lot of people said, oh, this is basically just someone trying to make an updated version of Alien.
But now,
to be fair,
but now you have Prometheus and you have Alien Covenant, which we will talk about. It is almost a half hour into this thing. You look at a movie like Life and you look at a movie like Alien Covenant, and I'm like, okay, I like your alien design, Alien, better. Like I like the look of the xenomorph. Granted, Calvin was cool looking. I liked him. But nothing. God, Life did it so much better. I guess we're
all right,
putting.
so
Yeah, let's go into it.
Let's go round table, and I think we should give it over to our guest first up.
Yes.
Like, tell us just your overall impressions of Alien Covenant, having walked out of it. Well, I mean,
I thought it was suspenseful. I was scared. Michael Fassbender is hot AF.
Truth.
were you really waiting for those two to kiss?
No,
That's not your thing. Sorry.
I mean, I was like, okay, this is kind of weird, but that wasn't really my thing. But I don't know. I thought it was scary. I thought the graphics were great. The storyline was kind of predictable. I knew as soon as we knew where it was going as soon as the droids met each other, and I was like, oh, he's gonna be the bad one. This is gonna. We knew that super early. Which kind of sucks. That takes the fun out of it. But I still enjoyed it.
I think everything was, I don't know, topically it was really great, and then every time you you thought a tiny bit about it, it just the bottom fell out of it.
Right.
And it was every little thing too. Like I liked, for instance, the even the CGI. I liked the CGI,
Sure.
and then I think like, oh, but it was so much better when it wasn't CGI.
Right, when you
It
didn't see the
looked
alien.
Incredible. I mean, the original aliens were, well, you know, maybe like aliens.
The
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
thing about the original aliens is they look ridiculous in light, but they're incredible when you don't see them.
Right.
They are so scary. CGI sort of makes everything kind
too
of the
glossy.
same thing.
Yeah.
It kind of everything becomes fluid. That little alien, the little
Chipmunk alien.
yeah, he stands up. He looks like he's gonna like I
does
don't
like
know,
a yoga
do the
pose or
thriller
something.
dance or
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
He was weird.
I
and
thought about
awful.
Spaceballs at
Yes,
that
so
point,
did we.
and I was
Yes.
just waiting for Michael Fassbender to put on a top hat and him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's so true.
But you know, all the logic of the movie just didn't hold up, or maybe it did, but you had to go looking for it online to piece it together. It
And-
just wasn't.
And to your point before,
It doesn't. No, you're right. At
in
the end of the day,
retrospect,
it
there were
doesn't.
so many things that they did that were just so dumb.
Yeah.
Like when he was like, "Look inside the pod thing; it's totally fine." I was like, "Why?
Yeah,
Why
that
would
was-
you believe him? Like he looked so. He might as well have been like twisting a fucking mustache.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's totally
Lie down on these railroad tracks while you do so.
like they're totally fine. I was like, "Why would you believe
He
him?"
literally just killed his
Yes.
his
Right.
first lieutenant.
And
or
he
something.
looks in. He practically put his whole face in there.
We did see the decapitated floating head of that woman that person just killed 4 times
Yes.
before the captain's like, I'm gonna go find. Oh, I trust him.
I'm gonna go into this like wet, dark cave with him.
Didn't
Yeah.
we just see the David kind of talking to an alien,
Yes.
like
Yep.
blowing? What was the line? Blowing a horse's mouth,
yeah.
and he'll love you forever.
For sure, great. Is that a thing? I'm not an equestrian. I
This
don't
is
know.
a guy I should trust. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, horse people are also really weird. So that should have been a sign.
Up
You
top.
know, if
That's
you're
funny.
somebody who like grew up with horses and you like talk about them all the time, you have a fucking like horse notebook. Like
Because I think everyone secretly loves their horse just a little too
That's
much.
what I mean.
Yeah.
It makes you like weird. It's just like it's a weird hobby. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put it out
Horses
there.
are super sexual. And I'm
I've
just
never
saying.
known a horse person that wasn't kind of weird. So the fact that he said that, like, that was a strike against him.
I have dated a woman who is a horse person, and nothing you're saying is not true.
You did give me a high five.
I did give you a high five.
You know, secretly she's thought about it sometime, right? Like
Oh no, I don't know
Either
about that. I just know, like,
either having sex with a horse or having sex on
are you
top of
bringing
the
literal
horse.
bestiality into this? And we were just talking about they're a little bit weird. Now you're talking about fucking an animal.
Listen, when David blew on that on the alien's mouth, I was like, "Where is this going?"
Yeah.
He would have gone there. I'm convinced he
If
would
To
have
be
he
tried.
fair,
have
he
human-
tried to make out with everybody in this movie.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah.
But he like didn't know how.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Poor guy. Matt, what'd you think of the movie?
On that note,
Well, it was serviceable.
Okay.
Again, I didn't dislike my time there.
Right.
I did find myself doing like you're watching a movie, then you do the what the like that
Yeah.
like that face where you're just like, huh?
You're looking around at everyone
Yeah.
like,
And-
are you guys
and-
watching the same thing I am?
And the only time I could see this was during the day one day, so I went by myself, and it was one of those things where I just wanted to talk to a person next to me and just be like, "What the? Why is this happening?" And there was that happened more and more throughout. I think one of the lines that really got me, which I think encompasses the entire film as a whole, is "We don't leave Earth to be safe."
Oh God.
And I was like, "Yes, you do."
yeah, that's clearly there are problems on Earth, and you
Yeah,
should probably
yeah.
find a better place.
And you know what's funny? There's a ton of quotes in this movie that literally just take this movie out at the knees. The other one is one wrong note eventually ruins the entire symphony.
Oh my God.
I like that quote.
I
No,
don't think that was terrible.
No. I'm not saying that quote is bad. That's a nice quote. There's some good words in there, and I enjoy it.
context
But I'm
of the
saying,
Made of words,
I'm
like a
saying,
good quote should be.
yeah. I just think it's like, yeah. The one note that's ruining the symphony is how stupid your characters are. Like the symphony being Alien and Aliens and the great films that were
Yeah.
preceded this. And now it's just like, okay, well, you're 100% right. Welcome to being that note. I mean, I guess that's me.
Okay. So here's again, I'm going to approach it from a Ridley Scott point of view, which is I think
Stop doing math.
the film looks gorgeous. Ridley Scott came up as an art director. He is really good at design. He knows how to that was the thing that made Alien famous and Blade Runner famous was that his set design work is incredible. That's what he's great at. Visually, it looked amazing. And I think, the reason why Ridley Scott wants to return to the Alien franchise is that there's some existential questions that he wants to answer. If you remember Blade Runner kind of came out and he was seen as kind of a natural predecessor to Stanley Kubrick because there was some sort of discussion about how Blade Runner entered the pantheon of existential sci-fi films like 2001: A Space Odyssey. And so I think Ridley Scott has been wanting to make a science fiction movie that gets into this existentialist world, and that's what David is really about. The film opens with David learning the identity of his father, and this entire Alien trilogy that's coming out is about, who created the aliens, how did it come about, and what does that say about humanity? So there's what I did like about this film is the David character. I really liked where they went with him. By the way, if everything sounds like praise, it's because I'm trying to find the good in this before we move on.
That's true. Well, the three of us are just taking shots.
Side note, I would love to take your class.
Right.
I'm listening to you and being like, oh my, you're right. I never thought about it that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think this is what Ridley Scott is really interested in. He's really interested in whether I can make something about the nature of humanity.
Sheer, did you teach film school?
I'm glad you brought it up and nobody else did.
I mean, I did say I would like to take his class.
I know.
Weird.
I just wanted to make sure if the class was available, I wanted
Drop a hint.
Yeah.
So the big nature of reality in Blade Runner is it's an adaptation of Philip K. Dick's Do Android Dreams of Electric Sheep, which
Close
I
enough.
think is what the question that is really being asked in Prometheus and in Alien Covenant. Does humanity get usurped by its predecessor? Is David the next evolution of humanity? And by extension, are the aliens a more primal form of what humanity is? That said, thank fuck Ridley Scott is not directing the Blade Runner sequel because fucking hell, this movie is dumb as shit.
Thank you for getting to that part.
It's a good point because he sets those questions up,
Yeah.
and then immediately goes to ignoring them.
Immediately throws it out. Like the thing that saves this movie is the work that's being done with Michael Fassbender's David, and this idea that the aliens are essentially a byproduct of a human android kind of genetic soup of some kind. And I think that's mildly interesting. The problem is watching Alien and Aliens, I've never ever wanted to know what is the genetic makeup of these fucking monsters.
I agree, and it takes something from those movies when it circles back and it's suddenly humans that had something to any part.
Yeah, that was what
create-
Pat was talking about the whole
The
time
aliens.
afterwards. He was like, but then who made this thing? And then this,
Yeah.
because of previous movies.
Oh, there were so many holes in that.
but ultimately, do you really care?
No.
Do you really care?
Well, a monster is good when you don't know its origin.
Exactly.
Yes.
That makes a better monster. And since Alien and Aliens were really monster movies in large part, it really just it sort of kicks the stool out from under those.
The one, and this is the problem I had with Prometheus as well, is the Prometheus ends on this weird note where they're suddenly going to go to LV-26, which is the planet that Alien, the first movie takes place on. But I was like, why didn't you go there in the first place? Why is this movie not about the origin of the species by actually going there? It seems like two steps removed. And Prometheus was kind of like, oh, this isn't the alien. This is like the home cooking preparation steps that get us to the alien, but we're not going to show you what the alien is until later.
Gee, good thing there's 3 movies.
Exactly. And so
There's still time.
The interesting thing that happens in this one is to me the most interesting scene is a flashback, and it's done in like the 5 seconds. You're like, wait a minute, that's your movie.
Which one?
The flashback of David destroying the engineers race.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that was really interesting.
I was like, oh, so this because the whole thing there is that the engineers are the predecessor to humankind. They're the people that created humanity. If you watch Prometheus,
AKA space jockeys.
and David is the predecessor of humankind. He is the next step in humanity. So he has gone back and destroyed the original engineers. that's really interesting. I think, what does that say about us? What does that say about, this idea of humanity? And he's using this virus to do so. All that stuff's really interesting. It's a 5-minute flashback. And other than that, I'm not interested in this movie.
It's just a mass death scene too.
Yeah.
It's not even really nuanced in any way.
No, and I mean, I love the idea of David kind of spending 10 years alone on this planet, kind of like doing these macabre experiments, and you see some of the drawings that he's made of Elizabeth Shaw, who was the character in the previous movie, where he's basically like creating an alien and then mass mutating it back against itself until he eventually creates something new. I think that's kind of interesting.
I think it's interesting. You know what I really like now that you brought it up? Wasn't the woman going to that planet to destroy them already?
No, she was going to find out why they were made. Like, the whole mission in Prometheus was like, we want to meet our makers.
But at the end of Prometheus,
Yeah.
when what's her name leaves with David,
Yeah.
right? Aren't they going to their home planet to fuck shit up? I thought that was.
I thought they were going to find out more.
Yeah, I took it as she was going. She was pissed, but she's like, "I want some answers" or something. I forget
Yeah.
the exact line
Because that was her entire mission in that first movie.
But here's my question:
All right.
this 5-minute flashback we're talking about in the virus and the thing, and yeah, that's cool, and I would like to see that movie.
I just think that would expand out to a more interesting
No,
movie.
of course.
Yeah.
But the second you start thinking about it even more, like, then it just, I think you said it before, but it's like it falls apart. The bottom falls out.
Of course. Yeah, it might only be a 5-minute movie.
Because like, okay,
that was the movie.
That was it.
okay, this virus.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
And why did they have it?
How did
that-
David know how to use it?
And why did they have so many little vials of it? Like,
Well,
that
this was kind of
weird.
questions that were approached in Prometheus, because it was the and look, I'm not saying that you not knowing this is because you didn't observe the film, because it's not told very well.
No, but this is what I'm saying. The stuff that was on the planet that was in the vases and in Prometheus and all that stuff, the goo that was like the proto, that was like the proto-xenomorph, that created proto-xenomorphs. This didn't do that.
But it also created humanity.
No, I know, but like, it's just so he's just going to drop this, like, not to throw a Marvel thing into this, but like the Terrigen mists onto these aliens. They have no idea what it'll do. Like, how did he know what it would do?
He doesn't. I'm saying. I guess
Also-
I'm saying I want those questions answered rather than
Also,
anything. That
What if it just turned him into normal humans?
Yeah,
Just
or made them more
smaller.
stronger, or turn them into like super xenomorphs. Or here's the other thing: these are the engineers are supposed to be this race that completely created humanity and probably life across the stars, right? So their one planet gets bombed, and then they're like, "Nah."
Yeah.
Like, where the hell are the rest of them? They're not just here. Like,
Not just the planet. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
like a small village.
yeah,
And that's it.
Yeah. So like, you think about this stuff, and it just gets dumb.
You know what I liked about that, in terms, again, from a design perspective, is it felt and looked like the fall of the Roman Empire to me. It felt like, if we
It was
think
the capes.
the capes, and it was also the citadel and the kind of cathedral feel of it.
Yeah,
It kind of
I
felt
agree.
like
They wore fucking capes.
I like that they had like little turned up noses.
Yeah, and they were all
made them kind of like snobby. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the engineers are snobby.
So wait. Let's back up, because I think what killed me was that David creates this perfect life form, but he creates it out of a thing that is way more perfect than the thing that he created. This sort of primal material
It's
that
weird.
can do anything.
I mean,
it's like a child that made something out of Play-Doh and is like, I made the best Play-Doh thing ever. It's like, well, yeah, but the Play-Doh factory made the Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing you're mentioning as well is like the actual
a good
genetic, the way in which the genetic propagation happens on the planet with the spores is way more efficient than the facehugger thing.
Absolutely.
It's like the
Yeah.
spores is like, why would you actually need to mutate a creature?
Instead, you make something with like 20 life cycles just to create it's bizarre.
It makes no sense. And there was more moments of me like rolling my eyes at the, like in this movie going, what the fuck is happening here? And I think it comes fundamentally down to, and the reason why Stanley Kubrick was Stanley Kubrick and Ridley Scott is not, and I like a lot of Ridley Scott's movies, is that Ridley Scott ultimately wants to make a crowd pleasing, endearing action movie. And the thing is that when this movie falls into like an endearing action movie, it's completely not, for one. It is unendearing. It is uninteresting. The Catherine Waterston, I think is her name, like
The characters, I don't give.
Yeah,
a
you
fuck
don't give a shit
any
about
of
it.
them.
And her fighting the alien at the end is supposed to kind of remind you of Sigourney Weaver fighting the aliens at the end of Aliens.
No, not at
But it has
all.
no weight.
She has
Aliens,
no charisma.
no charisma, and there's no reason for her to do what she does. You know, like why does she jump out of the plane?
I have no idea.
And why did she she wasn't a main character?
No.
Like I think that's what you guys are saying, right? No, who cares that she was the last? She just happened to be the last one alive,
They tried
right?
to make her a main character with like her husband dying and her being the
But
wife.
everybody's spouse died.
I know, but I'm saying-
Everybody's spouse died.
and the
And
thing
then
is,
they died.
Oh, sorry. go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm just saying that they did prop her up from the start, and
Yeah.
not to say that like she was the right choice for that, but they did try to make her a focus with her and like the new captain and like her mourning James Franco, who is in the film for freaking 2 seconds. You know,
Terrible way to start.
You know, here's my,
Any
here's my
character
theory about
development.
that. My theory about that is Danny McBride really wanted to do this movie, and the only reason he could convince Ridley Scott to do it is like, look, I'll give you James Franco for one day if I can be in this movie as like a part and package deal.
That's funny.
Because that's the only way he's like. And James Franco, yeah, I didn't even realize because I didn't watch any of the trailers, but was James Franco
Not really.
promoted
No.
as?
no, he burns up in the thing, and then you see him in a flashback,
And then they
on
show
an
clips of
iPad.
That is the
127 hours.
worst use
Yeah.
of
Yes.
It is the worst use of Chekhov's gun if I've ever seen an example. Because like I was like, okay, you've got James Franco in your movie, but you've only seen him for 10 seconds. You've got to bring him back somehow, and they bring him back right away. And I was like, no, that's it.
But then it also like doesn't make us care. You
No.
know what I mean? Like we didn't get to see the relationship at all to be like, oh wow, I feel
Nothing will make you not care about a character like James Franco.
in
I just
space,
gotta
no one
say
can
that.
make you care.
No one can make you care.
Oh, that's your husband? Like, ooh, you dodged a bullet, sis. Like,
Here's another thing is that this film kind of like the added dimension that this film like tries to play with is that everyone on this ship is in a marital relationship,
oh right.
right?
But they don't develop it because none of them seem like couples
And it's-
until someone dies and they turn and go, my wife.
For a
wife.
minute, for
My
1
wife.
minute to maybe 90 seconds, and then they're fine, and then everything's
Yeah.
good, and then they move on.
Yeah, that's
because
so funny.
they have a job to bumble through.
Yeah, that's how I felt about. I don't know what his real name is, but I keep
Billy
saying
Crudup?
No, Kenny Powers.
Oh
What's
yeah,
his
yeah,
real
Danny
name?
McBride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way about him. I was like, wait, that was his wife? Like he was talking about somebody else's tits, and I was
Yeah.
like, wait, I don't know. He's married to that lady. I'm so confused. Like,
And he makes the dumbest decision in response to that as well. It's like he's ostensibly the captain, responsible for 2,000 people on his ship, but he's like, I got to save my wife.
Quick,
And so,
let's
like,
fly this giant ship into a storm that the computer's saying you probably shouldn't fly this ship into a storm.
The
Yeah.
computer's going, this is your mother. You're going to die if you do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this. He's like, you know what? I'll just throw ourselves
well, and I
away.
felt the same way about the two other crew members who were like giving each other looks like, oh, should we do this? I didn't know they were together until they had a shower scene.
Yeah,
they had
And
a threesome with the
And
alien.
an
The
alien
alien,
tried
yep.
to put something up her butt. I was like, wait a second, they're together? I was so confused.
I like
so-
how you assume that was aimed for the butt.
It was. It
Well,
went
it
in her
was.
butt.
No, it was-
It
yeah.
did.
Was it curving backwards?
It
I can't-
totally curved up her
So
butt.
Alien has always had this sort of pseudo-sexual with the
Yeah, that comes from the Geiger
yeah,
work,
yeah. And the original Alien was a lot about sort of like either sexual violence or sort of being just assaulted in certain ways, and that is truly fucking terrifying. And I was like, this movie, which it doesn't have to have that, but it didn't have any of that, and then all of a sudden they throw in
They threw
this
that in there.
rando shower scene, which normally in horror movies, that's like in the first third. That's like
Yeah.
just something they're like, get the boobs out of the way and we're good to go.
Right.
This is now like we're 2 hours, an hour 45 into this thing, and then
Yeah.
it's like shower scene, by the way.
And ultimately, the problem is that there's no, and this is the other thing. I was like, I was kind of astounded by the way in which this film is structured. Is like this film is trying to play tension games towards the end. It's basically trying to say, oh, is this or is this? I was like, there is no tension here. I know
we
that's Dave.
know that that's
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, I
We
know.
knew
Yeah.
instantly. I mean,
Which was against the odds, even if he did reach for the knife.
Let's
in
talk
that
about
last
that.
moment. He wasn't gonna win. The guy says out loud, "He's I'm a new model. I'm better than you,
Yeah.
physically at least."
Yeah, that was weird.
So we're getting.
tell
I mean,
us.
we obviously we broke into spoilers. This is Spoiler Town. We all know this. It
Oh,
doesn't
I'm
even
sorry.
matter.
No.
No. We've been talking for a
Everybody
long
knows
time.
that this is
Yes.
Spoiler
And
Town.
even if it wasn't, even if like all of a sudden like it doesn't matter, audience, because it's the most blatant nonsense, non-twist you could possibly think of. Basically, David, the original alien that they meet on the planet, or not the original alien, the original little android made by Peter Whalen, meets Walter. They're both played by Michael Fassbender. And Walter, David attacks him at some point to like get rid of him. And then you see Walter heal like the goddamn T-1000. And then he comes back and they have like a fisticuffs battle. He's like, there's been some upgrades. And you're like, whoa, that's cool. And then it like does this. No, it was cool until like they had that moment where like they didn't show the end of the battle to try to make suspense about another, like who made it out.
But of course,
But you knew.
But you knew. And also, wouldn't Captain Scientist people, wouldn't you know, like, oh, this weird android that's been lost and kind of haywire for 10 years instantly just shaved all his hair to look just like our android? That's weird.
Yeah.
So also, when bad David comes back to the ship, he has cuts and stuff all over him that they're having to heal up. You don't think that the crew should know the specs of the robot killing machine possibly that they're bringing onto their ship? They wouldn't know that Walter should be able to heal and be like, hey, that scar's not going away. That's
That is
real
an
weird.
excellent point.
But no, let's patch you up instead. I'm going to have this long sort of loving stitching scene because I've forgotten all reason.
I will say one thing that I did appreciate about that, though. I felt like Michael Fassbender was doing a really good job of showing someone who was doing a bad American accent because his accent sounded off when he came back. And I was like, ooh, look at you. Like, there are levels to this performance. Because it was like him trying to sound like David.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
I think
Listen, Michael Fassbender. Let's just all get this
He
out of
is
the
a
table.
droid I'd like
Okay.
to fuck.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Listen,
Dilf.
he's a dilf.
Really?
He's a total dilf.
Droid. No, listen, I've been thinking about that this whole time. I've been like, I can't wait to say the stupid joke.
That's true, by the way. You could. She's not lying. She does that all the time.
I mean, look, let's get this out of the way. Michael Fassbender is awesome. He
was
Yes.
good.
He's a fantastic actor.
Can you
Yes.
picture this film without him?
No.
It would not.
He
Well,
was
it wouldn't
the
exist
saving
because
grace.
he was the driver of the plot.
He was the saving
But-
grace.
Yeah,
the
he was
character
only-
that's not supposed to be able to show emotion had the only emotional resonance in the entire movie.
Well, he was the only
great way
one
to
that you
look at it.
actually cared about too.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like
because
he
his
was
story,
interesting.
His story has some weight to it, and it actually turns in interesting ways. You know, and it asks interesting questions. But ultimately, at some point, this movie was like, oh, you know, in Prometheus, how we didn't have like a big alien kind of battle thing. Let's do that now, and let's do this like the exact same thing we did in Aliens, which is have like a bunch of people. Some of them will get picked off at some point, and none of that is in any way interesting. I just it's just not. It's handled poorly.
I think too, though. I mean, they're doing so many things,
Yeah.
right up to the point where they have to make you wonder which droid won the battle. It was so gratuitous, so unnecessary,
Wonder in air quotes, by the way.
and it was so. It was embarrassing, I felt.
Yeah.
Because it was way late in the movie, too, that this happens. And now suddenly the theme becomes the overarching theme of that portion of the movie becomes which droid is it?
Yeah.
It's like,
And how is he gonna? And how is he gonna fuck them over? Like he's helping them catch the alien, and you're waiting. Like, okay, well, when does the twist happen where it's revealed that it's not really him?
Yeah.
And that took me out of it because I was like, well, all right, they're gonna help the alien get out, but then we're gonna be like, dun, 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 like, you know, it's really.
But I think to your point too is all of that's at the expense of these questions that Ridley Scott was trying to ask and trying to delve into. So he really just throws away this nice setup. I mean, that scene with him and his father at the beginning, where David sort of is being born.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
I
thing.
thought that was amazing.
I want that chair.
Yeah, that was a good
That's
chair.
It's a
Sick chair.
famous chair. It's
I would
classic
just prefer the room. That everything in that thing, the piano, the little tea set, the window,
view.
and yeah, it's
It's
beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
Statue of David behind you.
Yep. No, yep. There you go. Gee, what's he going to be named? This is, and we've talked about this a little bit too. I will judge a film 9 times harder if it does half of its shit correct and then completely just destroys itself and shoots itself in the face with like the other half. Like the things we're all talking about, there are, again, now I'll try to turn it into a little bit of a positive thing. There are good things. It looks gorgeous.
Oh my
when
God.
when it's not doing CG nonsense, it looks great. The action scenes, while I don't think they're cut together well, they get a little confusing, especially on the spinny ship with the alien and the claw, and then all of a sudden it explodes kind of for some reason, like who knows why. That was a little bit weird, but like whenever it stopped to take a moment and breathe, like it was beautiful. The ship they were on was designed beautifully. The way the sails came out, like, and all that stuff, I loved it. The city was gorgeous, very Roman, like you were saying before, Greek.
Yeah.
But so you have all and all these questions that we've sort of like that Ridley Scott kind of wants to ask, but then he just doesn't do anything with. It's literally like it's like playing blackjack and hitting 20 and then just being like, hit me. And it's like, 23 bust. No, hit me. No, the game's over. Hit me. And it's like, just stop. Just fucking stop and just look at the cool thing you've built and stop shooting yourself in the foot.
And Ridley Scott is a filmmaker of note who doesn't need to pander to his audience.
No.
He doesn't need to make an action adventure
Well,
movie.
and especially because it's Alien, like you're already going to get people in the seats,
Yeah.
right? Like people are going to go see this regardless.
I think the problem was that I think he reached for that even further with Prometheus, which like got into the existentialist stuff a little bit broader and didn't have much action scenes. But even then, they were kind of dumb.
But that suffered too from characters you didn't give a shit about.
Exactly.
But it had Charlize Theron, so
I mean, yeah,
As
okay.
long as you have a hottie in there.
and Charlize Theron having sex with Idris Elba. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
Shit, now I have to see it.
Yeah.
Idris
It's
Elba-
that's worth the price of
Listen,
admission.
here's the thing, though. Idris Elba has like one of the best American accents in The Wire. Like, it's kind of crazy how good he does
Oh,
that.
it's so weird hearing his actual accent.
Yeah.
And he does one of the worst American accents I've ever heard any human being do in Prometheus.
So I guess let's open this question up to the panel.
Yeah.
Like, this is all Ridley Scott's fault, right? Like, this is all his fault. Like, he's fucking this up. Yes? No?
I'm gonna say no because there wasn't a thing there that he fucked up. He started something that I feel is different from the other movies that were made. So it's not. I don't feel it's like a loss. If it were Alien 4, and he fucked it up, I'd be pissed.
But you said, in your opinion, he did fuck up Alien 4. Oh, it wasn't him.
Oh no, I'm
You're
sorry.
right.
I'm sorry. Alien 4, Alien 5, whatever it is.
Oh,
if it was,
sure.
If it was more of that and he fucked it up, I'd be pissed because I feel like I would have lost an opportunity.
Okay.
But this is its own thing. It's its own it's its own world. It looks very different, right?
Yep.
It feels very different. The questions are different. It's more sci-fi, less monster movie, less horror. So, he tried it. And was it great? No.
Right.
But now on try 2, I guess that's where I get caught up. Like Prometheus, I've gone to bat for before just because exactly what you said. Like, he gave it a go. Like, we tried it, and maybe the studio fucked that. That movie reeks of studio sort of interference to me because it's asking a lot of like big heady questions. And they're probably like, when's a spaceship going to crash? Like, when's that going to happen? And now this time, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where he did the best he could do. I mean, I would say that maybe it was one of those studio things where he started with the big existential question and the studio was like, that's too much.
Yeah.
Like, just like throw some scary shit in there,
Right.
So I don't know. I have two minds of it in the sense that like I did enjoy it, but on reflection, there are a lot of stupid things, but I didn't go into an Alien film thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be like a masterpiece. I was just like, I want to be scared. I want to see some gore and I want to like, see some cool aliens.
I need some popcorn.
You got all of
And
it.
I got all of those
Yeah.
things. Patrick will tell you, I was squealing like the entire movie. I was like, no, don't do that. Ah! Like,
But then the thing pops out of the dude's chest and she's kind of like, oh, that's kind of cute.
When it stands up and is about to do the dance.
well, he did fucking sun salutation. He stood up and he's like, you know what I mean? That was very
Awful.
strange.
And also, Michael Fassbender was sort of doing his weird Hobbit impression. He was like walking around bare feet, like hoveling in the caves kind of thing. I was
Yeah.
like, this is getting weird here.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think that he completely screwed it up. I think that he made a decent movie out of a franchise that I already enjoy. And so for me, it's not like ruined. It's
Sure.
just like, all right, I'll give you like, I don't know, a B-, I guess.
Yeah.
B minus.
All right.
I'm look. This is a difficult question because it's like, how much involvement does the director actually have in the final product? I think in the case of someone like Ridley Scott, who I think we can all identify as someone, like the dude's 80 years old as well, right? By the way,
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know
And
that. I mean, I
that's
should have
nuts.
guessed, but
yeah, no, 80 years old, and he's still making. He's got a plan for 2 more Alien movies. He's also got 2 other movies coming out in the works.
he better get started.
Yeah, I mean, this is why he's cranking
mean
these
to be
out right
rude,
now.
but,
Yeah.
you know, clock's ticking.
It's
That was
hard.
rude.
Yeah, no, well, you're a little ageist there. It's hard to say how much he fucked it up versus the actual production process just kind of screwed it up. But
Maybe it's not him.
But I kind of look at my feeling is being a filmmaker is that the buck stops here kind of thing. Like ultimately, even if you aren't able to control the production process, if you aren't able to manage the studio, that's kind of a reflection upon you as a filmmaker. It's hard to justify because we have no idea about the inner workings. But from what I understand about Ridley Scott is not a man you say no to, as far as the studio system goes. And that this script was actually, a writer, John Logan, who's written some very good work before. He wrote The Aviator, which is a film I love. Was kind of riffing on ideas that Ridley Scott had, and this whole like David question is something that Ridley Scott's been playing with, and it's also something that kind of it falls in line with Blade Runner. So
It's a beautiful question, but he asked it for maybe 10 seconds or 10 minutes of a 2-hour movie.
I think what it seems to me is like. It's a person, and I'm doing this like sort of couch psychoanalysis of like Ridley Scott, like based on his movies, which is really not the way to go.
Yeah, we don't know Ridley Scott.
We don't know Ridley Scott, and Ridley, if you're listening, I like Alien, but it's just a case of like. I think he's asking an interesting question, but doesn't have the attention span to follow through with the implications of that question. Is the way I think about
Honestly, now that I know that he's 80, I revise and say that it is his fault because, like, when you're 80, you're like, I don't give a fuck. Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, this
That is
me.
true.
You know what I'm saying? You're literally like, I'm going to do what I want because I've made it this far, and like, you can't tell me anything different, which he's entitled to.
100%.
He's
right?
very
like,
successful.
you're very successful. You've made it to 80, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. And so I believe that that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, no, you might, yeah.
Again, we don't know Ridley Scott.
We don't know Ridley Scott, but
But we're gonna act like we do.
Yeah.
We're gonna act like, and again, I'm going on this basis of like 40. He's a 40% filmmaker for me. Like 40%, and like there's
So
only
all of our math, Shahir, checks out. It seems like in a weird roundabout way, the four of us have
40%, which
kind
is
of.
half of 80, which is it's been 25 years since the first. Yeah, it's all it's the cryptic
Oh my
numbers,
God.
the sacred numbers.
There were two droids.
There were two droids. Yeah, the reflection of each other, binary 1 and 0.
Did we just become the Illuminati, or was that did that happen right now?
Speak for yourself. I've always been a member.
Oh shit!
This is the revelations are coming thick and deep here.
Thick and deep.
Yeah, look that.
Well,
Who does the fingering?
We did. Yeah, we did make it an hour without Shahir making a very inappropriate sexual.
You know what's
reference.
funny is that was unintentional. That
I
was
know
just-
that was Freudian to its core. All right, well, that was kind of all of our final thoughts, right?
I think- I think we kind of hit it. I mean,
did.
do you guys want to see the next chapter?
Yeah, that's the question.
I'll see it.
I'm stuck. I'll do it. I'll do it. No matter what comes of this
Right.
Alien franchise.
And you
if
are the
there's a
exact
Predator
target
in it,
market.
It doesn't matter. I will be in that seat.
You don't seem happy. About it.
Yeah, it's the fanboy.
Yep.
It's the fanboy complex, which I suffer from with Marvel movies and a lot of other things, where like you're gonna go no matter what they do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fun. Every once in a blue moon in a fanboy's life, in my life, I can break away from it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to break away from soon, very soon?
What?
Transformers.
Oh,
You haven't given up on that? Oh,
I was like,
Listen.
you should have
listen.
given up after the second
Yeah.
one.
I know. The first one I like, and the rest of them have been hot garbage. But for whatever reason, because of nostalgia and growing up and cars
Nostalgia
that turn into
for one
robots.
movie?
No, for a franchise, for the toys, for the characters, and everything that
Transformers,
they
yeah.
butcher.
Right.
But every time, like maybe. But and this is my point. The fanboyness is strong in the sense that like. Ridley Scott and Aliens, even all the directors have not done the damage that Transformers has done.
Oh my God.
By any iota, and now. Just now am I allowed to get away from
trailer was so bad.
I thought it was a montage. You know how like HBO will do a montage of all of their shows.
Yep.
Before showing the feature presentation or whatever. I thought that's what it was. There was what's his
Anthony
name?
Hopkins?
Anthony Hopkins is in one scene being Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
there's
the
some
Megan
dragons.
Fox knockoff. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
who is that racially ambiguous girl with those big ass lips?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Mark Wahlberg's
Who's
rolling
also
around with
aged
some
down,
machine.
by the way.
Right.
Side note: you didn't.
Yeah, she was young.
You didn't see the fourth Transformers.
No.
movie, did you? Thank God. There's
Well,
a.
here's the thing, man. I gave up on that after the.
And no, and I'm not
It
saying
was
no.
brutal.
Everyone's correct.
Offensive. It was.
Everyone's
You're making
correct
a
in
case
that.
for the fact that you have felt like you needed to go.
And now,
I get
I
it.
have
I get
broken
it.
away, and it's a really nice feeling. I'm a 35-year-old man that no longer has to see Transformers.
You
films.
just saved yourself 2 hours and $15.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't say that I have that. I mean, fangirl doesn't really translate, I feel like, but I don't have that feeling towards any
Anything?
franchise.
You'll never get locked into.
That's
what about?
fortunate.
Yeah, I mean it's great.
very
Like what?
fortunate.
Really trying to think about
Lord
it.
of the Rings was like that for me, and then The Hobbit,
no.
and I just
You
eventually
gave up on The Hobbit?
Oh, I absolutely gave up on The Hobbit, but I wanted to give up on Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because let's face it, by the third movie, it was like you're just showing us the same stuff. You can't develop the world any better. The story is kind of. I know the story. I read the books.
Oh, wait,
you know?
wait. I have it for a TV show. I have it for Game of Thrones.
Oh, you've given up on
I
Game of
feel
Thrones?
like I want to because
Oh,
they
and
keep
The Walking Dead, though. For you keep
listen,
crawling back to The Walking
I
Dead.
gave up Walking Dead, and
Really?
yeah, like, and
Like
you know
5
what?
times,
I went. Oh, I was so mad that
You're gonna
second
be back.
season when they were like
She
at
will
that
go
stupid
crawling
farmhouse.
back.
I was
Yeah,
like, all right, I'm sticking with it. I was just
Oh,
like, I want to
really?
see what
It's the
happens.
worst.
Yeah, I kept
Season 2 is the
going,
worst.
and then after
like season
they
2.
killed, I mean, whatever. It's not really
It
spoiler.
was like a single
After
zombie
they
in the
killed
whole
Glenn,
season.
I was
I
just
like
like, fuck this. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so mad. But I do feel that way about Game of Thrones, that these long breaks, these episodes where like nothing really happens, and then something big happens, and then nothing happens for a long time. But now I'm just like, God, I gotta see how it ends.
See,
Right.
I'm with you on Walking Dead. I'm not with you on Game of Thrones, only because I think Game of Thrones is some of the best sort of character development and fantasy in the game right now. Even if you don't care about the characters, they do a lot of work to try to, at least explain them. Whereas Walking Dead,
is garbage. Let's call it what
Yeah,
it is.
I
it's
haven't
bad.
watched it in
but
a
here's
while.
the deal. I
It's been
liked,
garbage for a long time.
I liked this last season. I'm not going to lie. And I didn't like a lot of seasons before, and I didn't particularly appreciate the cliffhanger they did, but I was also like, I get why they did it. Like, I was
Yeah.
never mad at it. Also,
I was really mad.
Also, I've read the comics, and
Right.
it was very clear to me that
You
even though
knew
they
who
were
was gonna
dancing
die.
around it, Abraham in the comics, I believe, dies way earlier. So like, he was on the chopping block with, like, I was betting they'd do 2 because like that way they're not just matching it. And then I liked the other, like I liked the super weird like girl with the bangs at the other thing that
You guys
guy
are
screws him
spoiling
over and all that
Walking
stuff.
Dead for me,
I know
by
it's
the way.
great. Don't worry about it. You'll won't remember this shit.
Honestly, it's just it got bad.
It's not worth it. Don't do it.
But you will. You'll go back. I'll
No,
go back.
I'm not going
It
to go
is.
back.
It is the most abusive show I've ever watched.
Yeah.
No, it is cruel to its audience. The
Yeah.
cliffhangers, how they toy with your emotions, how they have these like Glenn is
How
a character.
Glenn was a great character that they didn't give any fucking love to, and then they like just kill him. Like
They
he
kill him
had a-
like 3 times too.
He had a great
yeah, exactly,
storyline.
exactly. And they keep milking it, and it's cruel. And let's face it, he was a great character within that cast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that cast sucks. The dude with the red hair and the mustache, he
hate
is
him.
the worst.
Abraham. Yeah. Carl.
Well, bring it back.
Carl.
We
Stay
can
back
bring
with
it back
the-
to
Sorry,
Alien.
sorry,
no,
yeah.
no. Just because I haven't seen The Walking Dead, otherwise I'd be totally in on
No,
this
it's totally,
conversation.
you are not missing anything.
I agree with you, Matt. I'm out. I'm out with the aliens. I'm out with Ridley Scott's
Really?
Aliens. I'm done. I'm like
Wow.
I'm done with this. It's just like it for me. It's a case of fool me once, okay, fool me twice, I'm out. It's
I'll still see the third one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll see it too.
no.
I'm not at Transformers
The
level
only,
of giving
the
up.
only
with it.
reason I would the only
You have
reason
a
I
high
would go back to
tolerance.
see Alien, whatever the next one is. We've got Prometheus, Covenant, and
Is if
the Ark
Taika
of-
Waititi directed it.
No, if Michael Fassbender has like is the
shower
main
scene.
character,
Oh,
is a shower scene, and there's 4 of them now. I don't know.
It's duplicity.
yeah, multiplicity.
Multiplicity.
Michael
Oh
Keaton.
my
Yeah.
God.
No, the only reason I would stay vested in this is to see the David story resolve in some way. But every iteration of this so far has.
What's he gonna do? Bring the ship to Earth with the alien embryos
see, look,
now? Like what?
That's
the,
what I
No,
thought.
but
was-
remember, this is ultimately leading to Alien. This is all prequel to Alien. So even then, I don't care because it's like we're going to get an alien landscape where aliens roam free and then die out, I guess. Oh.
Great.
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really much that can happen. Like we know what's going to happen.
Like the aliens can't go to Earth because that didn't happen in the original franchise.
Right.
So,
Right.
oh.
They could threaten it, I guess.
And it's already happened in Alien vs. Predator. So,
oh, that's true.
So-
That's a good point. Did
yeah.
they address that in those movies? I forget.
I
I actually don't think Alien versus Predator is canonical.
oh, really?
I think actually in Ridley Scott's sort of thing, he's just treating that like it didn't
A weird
happen.
spinoff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys something though?
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if you guys are trying to wrap up, but like,
No. We can talk for hours.
I want to know, what do you think was David's actual motive? I'm not sure. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but I don't know if we tried to get right at it because I couldn't figure out
I thought
what
he just wanted
was
to
trying
create
to do.
something.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah,
like
he-
He was obsessed with creation because he, even from the time he was sort of brought into the world, he was told that he was a creation and his creation was looking for their creators. So that sort of, I feel like, in a base level of his world outlook or whatever, was just like, creation is the most important thing.
I thought that's why he wanted to do like play the little flute, and he was like, we can't actually make anything, and so like this was his attempt to have some sort of ownership. I
And
guess.
that is actually interesting because he's programmed not to be able to do that,
Right.
and he's kind of like the whole, the whole Prometheus and Covenant is about evolution.
He keeps saying how he loves things.
Yeah, and
Right.
but it comes down to me.
he's trying to kiss people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
He's like, now I will make babies.
Yeah, baby making.
It was
And
weird
he
to-
did. He vomited up little
baby.
facehugger embryos.
Yeah, he's
Good
got the
point.
vagina on the wrong end, but
Yes.
whatever. But like it comes down to two lines for me. One is that he says, "You've got symphonies in you, brother," which I thought was an interesting line, where he was basically saying, "You could," and what I think what was the other character's name? Walter. Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
Walter says back to him, "I know what a symphony is. I have a database of them, but I cannot create my own, and very rightly so. I shouldn't create my own." And the second. The second line is that I think is interesting, that gets at the heart of what is David's motivations, is that his father, played by Guy Pearce in the beginning, comes to meet his maker, the engineers, and he says something along the lines of, "I pitied him towards the end." And I think, to me, that gets at the heart of it, is that he realized the folly of Guy Pearce's endeavor, which was to try and find his maker, not create something new. And what I think the reason he pities him, and the reason, because also the other thing is he's modeled after Lawrence of Arabia. In the first movie, he's always quoting Lawrence of Arabia's "Here's" kind of styled like it. Even he's watching the movie at some point as well. I think it has to do with this idea that he feels the folly of humankind was to create something in their own image. And he wants to create something that is entirely new. And I think there's something interesting in this idea. Like, I have an obsession with parasitic biology. Like, have you guys?
Of course you do.
Have you guys? I went down a rabbit hole with have you ever looked at how botflies procreate?
No.
Yeah, just during your off time, you just want to
It's-
relax. You pull up.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. And
Who
this
does
is,
the finger?
Yeah.
from an evolutionary standpoint. And there was another.
Wait, hold on. You guys talked about snails and things getting shot into snails' faces. Hold on. So
We
yes,
did.
they do.
We know a
That
little.
was on their podcast.
We know a little something about this.
And the left spiral snail had to find the other one. Yeah.
You
All
gotta
right.
shoot snail darts into each other's faces.
Yeah. Love darts. You
thought
coined
love
love darts.
Yes.
I think
So I'm the only one here that doesn't do that.
You guys should look up the life cycle of a botfly. It is the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. And it's like the thing that's interesting about a botfly is that it uses other DNA to procreate itself. Like, it basically burrows into a skin and then attempts to be caught. The fly itself. I think this is amazing. The fly itself will lay its eggs on a mosquito in the hope that the mosquito will then find a living mammal to inject those eggs into. So it basically uses another species as its method of, in the sperm and the ova kind of theory, it uses the mosquito
the
as
original alien.
yeah, and I think all that stuff is kind of interesting. And I was like, oh, it's really interesting to think about the alien as a more perfect human, because it isn't. It's purely from a psychological point of view. It's pure id. It only wants to kill things. It only wants to slaughter what's in its way.
Until it stands up or tries to mimic things or gets blown on its nose. So
Yeah.
again, it falls
Oh, yeah.
apart.
Okay.
Entirely. None of this actually. None of this gets into the film, and I think it's an interesting idea, because the alien is this weird, dark, sexualized creature that we've seen. It's like, oh, it's one of us. That's kind of interesting. But no, it's not. Occasionally it wants to stick its tail up someone's butt, but that's it. You know what I mean?
Wow. Well, this has been the only podcast about botflies.
Yeah. Oh my God, you got to. And there was a recent story about a parasite that lives in fish's
You're
eyes.
still going.
It's amazing. I love this stuff.
Anything else? Any other weird animal stuff before we wrap it up?
Mainly parasite, and also gut bacteria. It also drives our human emotions. I think is really interesting. But what ifs?
Jesus.
You guys not into it?
And the anglerfish, right?
The anglerfish with the parasite in the eye.
No. The one that burrows into its mate and then becomes a pair of gonads just hanging off its mate. It actually like gets blended in.
You should play our Animal Corner theme song.
No, it really should because it is 100% Animal Corner right now.
I love that stuff, but it's not in the movie.
Great. Neither was Walking Dead. This has been the only podcast about the film Alien Covenant. Patrick, Francesca, thank you so much
Thank you for
coming on.
Us. This was so fun.
This was a
I'd love
blast.
to have you back on another film at some point.
yeah.
When you're not bonding with Shahir about parasitic
Botflies.
animals or recounting snail tales, where can folks find you?
You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your favorite podcast, last name basis. And you can also tweet us at Cheska Lee
a tie optional.
on the Twitter. We are very active, aka we don't have much social lives. Yay! We use social media a lot, so we always love to hear from our fans what they think about the show.
We encourage you to check out the show. It's super fun.
It's super fun, guys.
I feel like I know you more than I actually know. It's like
That's
it's that,
what everyone
Yeah, well, yeah,
says.
because a lot of times, you never. I don't know. It's always so interesting when you meet people that you listen to, and then it's exact. It's
I feel like I
100%.
want to talk
What
to you
you
about
hear
things you've
is
talked
what you
about,
get.
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh wait, I actually don't know them that well. You know, like,
A lot of people that listen to our podcast say it's like having dinner with us.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I feel like that's such an apt
100%.
description because that's really how the podcast came about. Is that we were just talking a lot of shit, and I was like, this should be the podcast, just us talking
Yeah.
about whatever's going on or
Yeah.
whatever we're thinking about. So we take it as a compliment when people feel like they know us.
Yeah.
but at the same time, we won't turn up at your place and ask you about things.
But also mind your business.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to us, but don't talk to us.
Shahir, when you're not minding your business, where can people find you?
You can find me at shahirdaud.com. That's SHAHIRDAUD. All my life and works are there. Matt, how about yourself?
You can find me at MatthewKroll.com, MatthewKroll.com. Also, Skeletor, the number 4, PREZ on Instagram, or Emperor MSK on Twitter. Also, leave us iTunes reviews like we said before. That would be lovely.
Subscribe to the podcast. Write to us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter.
What did you think of Alien Covenant? Are we on point? Are we all sort of silly people that should not take this stuff so
Are we
seriously?
entirely wrong about senile old Ridley Scott at this point?
And the main question I want people to write in, who is doing the fingering? That's what I want to know. Guys, thank you again so much for coming on the show.
It's been awesome.
What song should we go out with?
I know we're gonna try and pretend like we played this off. Like
Hey
we
guys,
didn't Google
what?
this.
hey, if we were just to randomly think of a song off the
Totally
top of our head.
I actually can't remember which song this in because I used to listen to this album by Radiohead like consecutively. So I didn't
Me
you know,
too.
like I can't remember which song this
Wait,
actually.
which song are you talking about here? This just came up now.
Yeah, I know. But Subterranean Homesick Alien by
It was
Radiohead.
the first single
Was
off
it?
of. Well, it was the one that I remember.
See, the thing is, it was an album that I just bought. Like hearing that it was good because I had one of those like BMG membership thing. So and it was the only I listened to just in order. I didn't like really. This is back in the day when you didn't have you weren't really you would listen to albums.
They
Not
had
singles.
actual
yeah.
albums.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Oh wait,
listen
you know
to
what?
them.
I don't think that this was a single. No, I don't.
Because I think Karma Police was
was the
Karma
first
Police single.
Was one of the first singles.
So I'm saying we really thought about this.
no, actually, we just searched on Lyric Genius for Alien.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know you could do. So now I know.
Modern day, that counts as really thinking about something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
we
that's
really
Googling it.
thought about it.
Yeah.
We're the only podcast about movies. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. And yeah.
May the alien force be with you. No, that doesn't
What
work.
the fuck?
Botfly in your eye? I don't know.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
If you see someone with like a claw coming out of their back, don't hug them.
Oh my god! And don't slip on the blood. Like if there's
Stop
blood on the
slipping
floor-
on the blood.
If you see blood on the ground, just walk around it.